This is Marc E. Moglen, looking out for some of the latest and most interesting takes on the music world as it affects the lives of musicians. And I stumbled upon this part of an interview with Joe Rogan. I'm not even sure exactly who he's interviewing. They haven't really gotten to who this guy is, and that's actually why I watched it. Just kind of curious who it is. And the first part of the conversation was going into AI music. So I thought, oh, wow, this is timely. And so here he is. We're going to comment on some of this, and I'll give you a bit of my view and my take on it. I'm jumping forward a little bit in the conversation, and this is where Joe Rogan shares a song ostensibly created by AI that he's fond of, and he shares it with his guest, Andrew Santino.
Play him a little bit of that 50 Cent song. You got to hear some of this, bro. That's not a person. God. It's not a person.
It gives me chills, man. Like, it's uncomfortable in my chest.
So I have to, offer a slight correction. Here. It is a person in some way. The data that was used to train whatever vocal AI model that is, some are licensed from people, and some are just scraped whole cloth from different sources, but they're certainly scraped from the vocals of people. So it wasn't some intelligent computer system, which just sort of like thought, this is how you sing. They took all the data, or quite likely the data of a single singer, or possibly multiple singers, highly trained people. And instead of sampling it, they use some kind of audio AI reconstruction of it. But to just look at an AI song and go, that's not people. Well, all of the AI songs were made from the recorded music legacy of people. So in a very real way, it is a person, or a reconstituted person. So that's something to take into consideration. We'll continue here.
See that guy?
So good,
I know,
dude.
but I hate it that I like it, because it's bad. This is bad. Is this not bad?
It's not bad. It is. It is.
It's
That's
bad.
what it is. No. It is. It just is. It is not bad. It's not good. It just is. And if that was a guy, he would be a fucking superstar. Superstar. Out of the gate, if that was like some young cat who just came out of nowhere, or better yet, some dude who's been doing the road for like fucking 20 years, and now he's 42, and this is his debut album, and he's just been fucking grinding it out at these weird bars and shit.
Yeah.
And then he comes out with that song, you'd be like, oh my God, where is he?
It's interesting, right? I mean, he draws these parallels to actual hardworking musicians. Can you imagine? Talks about some guy who just was playing on the street or doing the circuit of dive bars, and then kind of found it, and how excited he would be to find someone like that. But he doesn't take a position on whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. In fact, he insists that it's neither good nor bad. It just is. And sort of like it's an inevitable thing that will happen. And that's just something that we have to accept, and how great sounding it is really the main point. And this is what we're going to see again and again, that the culture of passive music listening, largely brought on by, the streaming era of the last 20 years, but not solely for that reason. I mean, certainly passive listening has been a thing for a very long time. Results in a consumer or a listener or an audience that says, well, hey, if it sounds good to me, that's the mark of what's valuable, just my immediate subjective preference. And I mean, there's certainly some validity to that. I mean, if something sounds good to you, if it feels good to you, I mean, it's good. But or in Joe Rogan's take, it just is. However, upon deeper analysis, you can see that not only was the AI audio wholly constructed from human intellectual property, that furthermore, much of that was not properly licensed. Again, this model may have properly licensed it, but that's actually neither here nor there, because the point that I'm trying to make is that it was constituted from human creative capacity. And we may have to take a stance on it that it's either good or bad, or rather why it's good and why it's bad. But to say that it's, again, just to say that it's fully computer generated, I don't think fully captures it. And also to say that it's just simply inevitable takes us away from the fact that there's a lot of active lawsuits right now questioning whether exactly this sort of thing is inevitable. But we'll continue here.
I gotta see him in real life.
Where have you been?
Where have you been, sir?
He kind of has that Aloe Black. Do you know Aloe Black?
No.
He kind of has a little bit of that tone, a little bit of that. But it's so funny to hear
Charles Bradley like.
Yeah, Bradley, a little bit of that.
Yeah, a little Charles Bradley. Well, I mean, they get the best out of every fucking vocal ever, and they combine it and make a perfect person.
But that's the infringement on art is what's scary.
So he gets it. I mean, he gets that it's being pulled from talented vocalists, quality, real human vocalists. But to him, it's inconsequential that it's actually a computer-generated piece of audio. Sounds great, and so that's good enough.
Scary, because you're like, well, at some point, are people going to not want human art? Are they just going to go, just give me that. I want to make, are people going to go, I want to watch a movie with Sharon Stone from 96.
They've already done that.
And you can, but I mean at home, just make your own movie at home and go play it.
No, that's not, they're doing that.
No, I know they're doing it. I'm saying how quickly is that going to be?
They've done Luke Skywalker. They're doing new Luke Skywalker movies with young Luke Skywalker, like new scenes in Star Wars that never happened, but HD.
I don't like it. Yeah, it trips me out, man. I don't know. It just makes me feel like we're getting further and further away from original creation. But it will open a new hole of art, which will be how good can your new art AI be? I'm against it right now.
Listen, you're dead right. No argument.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Andrew Santino's instinct earlier in the conversation, he suggested that he hasn't even used ChatGPT, so he's been pretty distant from using AI tools directly. I think his take is a healthy one. It's like, well, okay, this is clearly being taken from humans, probably a conglomeration of some of the best voices that could be found. I mean, best voices is kind of a misnomer, right? Because it's also highly subjective, and there's many incredible singers out there. But okay, they took a number of good singers and they made this AI. And his take on it was like, this doesn't feel right. He said, I think it sounds good, but something doesn't feel right. And I think that is a more nuanced stance than just nothing matters and it sounds good, so we're going to enjoy it, because we're just getting started with this and we're enjoying it now in this initial bubble of AI. How that matures, it's only been a few months here, folks. How that matures is another question, and there's a few possibilities.
I know it's happening, whether you like it or not.
It's not just happening; it's happening at a pace that is unstoppable. This conversation we would not have had 2 years ago.
No.
Because 2 years ago, no one was even thinking like AI is going to take over art. No way.
No.
But now it's over, because they basically, look, everything has been said, everything has been told, every song has been sung. Smash them all together, make a new version of it. All you need is a prompt. All you need is a prompt, and you got a new Bob Dylan who makes the old Bob Dylan look boring.
This is just misguided. Not all songs have been made thus far. AI didn't stop the process of the potential for human creativity in any domain. It did greatly call into question some of the end results, and now everyone has to kind of ask, hey, was that AI made? To what extent was that AI made? And for some reason, we consistently lose sight of the fact that AI made means made by humans, just humans who aren't getting credit for it. There have been many cases, in fact, of artists who tried to make songs that sounded like them, or visual arts that made it look like their work, and it came out nearly verbatim the kind of work they would do, so much so that it almost sounded like it was sampled. Sampled means just copied, just audio copied. So whether it's reconstituted via, a tape machine recording it, or digital sampling, or an audio algorithm which recreates it, and the end result sounds like the same thing, that's just applying a new method to recreating the same kind of sound. And that's why many of these audio companies that are creating algorithms like that, in fact, the entire AI, large data model ingestion system is under extreme levels of scrutiny right now, and including many, many legal battles. And okay, so let's say this shakes out, and licensed music is there, and these kinds of models persist. Well, we still have to dig a little bit deeper and ask why, for example, Andrew Santino has that reaction of like, something doesn't feel right here. And Joe Rogan's response that, oh no, everything's already been made and we can just now smash it together and make new stuff. Well, yes, that is one thing you could do as an experimental measure, but many people don't want to hear all music mashed up and to create new stuff in the same way that you wouldn't take everything in your fridge and put it into a blender and call it a meal. No, there's certain types of foods you would want at certain times, and there's certain preferences for certain foods. Similarly, there's certain music you'd like at certain times, certain preferences for music. So to throw our hands up and say, well, AI music creation is done, and we see this echoed in different parts of the AI industry. The CEO of Suno saying, well, look, musicians, which this, by the way, that song could have very well been made with Suno. I'm not sure. Haven't looked that one up specifically. The message that the hill that he may have to die on, unfortunately, is that musicians don't like to make music, and that's kind of his reason for being. That one he's going to have to start to, roll out the apologies for, because everyone's hanging him out to dry on that, and frankly, rightly so. Because, and here's the deeper point, folks, when you take out the process of music making, and when you take out the human connection to music making, you're left with something which appears to be music, but lacks all of the features that defines music as we know it. Now, we can create a new word for what this stuff is. That's fine. But you can't take out every aspect of music and then say, well, it's just the same stuff minus the humans. Let's continue here.
You got some renegade Bob Dylan, some wild dude who's out there doing yoga in the woods. You know what I mean? It's like you can't stop
Bob Dylan
it, man.
doing Downward Dog in the pines.
A perfect person. You can't stop it.
No, it's happening. I get it.
But this, what I was saying about New York and this Mamdani guy, like, you're going to have...
I don't know what he means by perfect person. I really don't. I suppose this is what many think about what AI will do. Maybe what they think about AGI, for example. So the problem with the perfect person analogy is that it makes no sense in the context of artistic production. There's stuff that I like, art that I like, music that I like. There's music that someone else is like that I don't like. The music that I like, other people don't like. So who's perfect in that respect? Much of the music that I like is from individuals who make lots of mistakes. What we call, ostensibly mistakes, i.e. they're not perfect. In many cases, the imperfections are what endears me to the music. In the way that if you heard an super early recording of the Beatles or something, or Jimi Hendrix, it might sound kind of messy, and you'd say that's the coolest thing I've heard. And I brought this up to people, to commentators, and they say, oh, don't you worry. AI will create imperfections so that it will be imperceptible. So now we're back to the other argument. Well, if it sounds good, that's the bar enough. And what you're missing there is the process and the human element. And frankly, a kind of perversion. A perversion similar to people going on AI dates or falling in love with an AI. There is something a little perverse about that. Maybe more than a little. And that is that to hear the cracking voice of a computer algorithm doesn't mean the same when you hear the cracking singing voice of a singer in real life. And if you say those are the same, you are missing something that's very obvious to most people, namely that one is capable of actually conveying an emotion based on their history and based on their experience, and another was programmed by someone to crack their voice at certain times to potentially convey the same meaning. You could say those are similar in some ways, they have similar characteristics, but if you say they're the same thing, that's just verifiably false. So then you have to say, well, I just don't care. I don't care if an imperfection comes from an AI music versus if that imperfection was realized in a real human performance. And to that, you're at a fundamental difference of opinion. I care. I want to know, and it directly affects my music listening experience. Because music is heavily related to the humans creating it. And the disassociation or attempted disassociation of those two is not a trivial mistake. I think it's actually a grave mistake. To the extent that art and music has value in society, disassociating the human from the artistic production is a grave cultural mistake that we will keep banging our head against again and again and again until we either have a complete artistic collapse of society or we regain a sense for what matters, for regaining a sense for, in the terms here, what's bad and what's good, and not just what is. This is Marc E. Moglen. Thank you so much for taking a listen to my take on this. It's a very important conversation. I'm really glad Joe Rogan is talking about this and thinking about this. I think his opinion is basically shared by many, many people, and they're excited about it, and they think it's cool what's happening. There's many interesting potentials with AI as it relates to artistic production. AI can empower musicians in all kinds of ways. But removing the process of music making and disassociating the human from the music making will not be those ways. Those will be the destructive ways that AI will interject in the lives of musicians. Thanks so much again, and see you next time.